Hey guys, YouTuber100 here. Alright, and now here's my review of The Mummy Returns. So yeah, I really do like this movie a lot. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like this movie a lot. Yeah, I actually like it even more than the first Mummy. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like this one just is more interesting, and I think the characters and the story are better developed in this movie. And yeah, I mean, I just really think that this movie is definitely better than the first Mummy. Yeah. Yeah, just about everybody involved in the first Mummy he returned for this movie. Yeah, and Stephen Sommers returned as the director, John Byrne returned as the visual effects supervisor, either James Jackson, Sean Daniel returned as producers. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, and of course, basically the entire cast from the first movie returned. Yeah, I still have Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, John Hannah, Arnold Vosloo, Oded Fehr, Patricia Velasquez. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. Of course, this movie also has a lot of new characters. Yeah, and yeah, it has new cast members. It has Ellen Armstrong, uh, Freddie Boeth, The Rock. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this has definitely a bigger cast than the first movie. Yeah, and yeah, and yeah, this was of course like the start to The Rock's movie career. Yeah, this was The Rock's first feature film role, and yeah, and of course, yeah, like one of the reasons that I really like this movie more than the first is just it has a phenomenal score from Alan Silvestri. Yeah, first movie had music by Jerry Goldsmith. This one has music from Alan Silvestri, and yeah, the Alan Silvestri score in this movie is just freaking phenomenal. I mean, this is some of the best music that you'll ever hear in movies. This is like some of the best score you'll ever hear. Yeah, I'll put a link to a playlist of the entire soundtrack of the movie in the description, so you can hear the music for yourself and just listen to how freaking phenomenal this score is. Yeah, I mean, this score is just great. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I really like the movie. Yeah, it seems to like really do like better things than the first like Imhotep is really like more developed in this movie. Like basically in the first movie, just Imhotep's main role is just really like going after people to regenerate. Right? Yeah, in this movie, his character is a lot better developed. It's not focused on him like regenerating. It's really more focused on like him taking over the world, and it's this one like it. Yeah, it focuses more on the like his love with Anaxna Moon. Yeah, we see we see a lot more of their relationship in this movie than we did in the first. Where in the first it was just like at the beginning, and here it's like throughout the entire movie. So yeah, I like it. Yeah, and yeah, here we also like learn like that Evie actually had a previous life life in like the old times, like back when Imhotep was actually human with Anaxna Moon. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just look, yeah, and of course, yeah, we have Patricia Velasquez and Oded Fehr have much bigger roles in this movie than they did in the first. Yeah, Ardeth is a lot more involved in this movie. Or yeah, and then Anaxna Moon also has a bigger part in the movie too. Yeah. So yeah, I just feel like this basically has everything the first movie did and more, and I think it did like oh, better than the first movie did. Yeah. So yeah, I give this movie like 3.5 stars out of 4. Yeah. So I'm not exactly sure how far this movie is set after the first, because I mean, yeah, they, at one point they say like it like this is set like 9 years after, but really it's not, because Yeah, it shows that the events in the movie take place in 1933, which is really only about 7 years after the events of the first movie. Because if you remember, like in the first movie, like it showed like the battle with the Legion and everything that happened in 23, and then everything else takes place 3 years after that. So really, that it would only be 7 years, because yeah, the events in this movie take place in 1933. So yeah, technically it would only be 7 years. So yeah, kind of a bit of continuity problems, but yeah, it still like doesn't really change anything about how good the movie really is. Yes, I really do like the movie a lot. So yeah, let me just get right into it. Alright, so the movie opens in the year 3067 BC, and it shows the Scorpion King leading his army to conquer Thebes. And yeah, the Scorpion King and his army have a battle with the army in Thebes, and yeah, this battle lasts 7 years, and the Scorpion King and his army are defeated. And yeah, they're exiled into the desert of Abshir, and it just shows one by one Scorpion King's army dying, and then he's just left on his own alive. And then as the Scorpion King was about to die, he then makes a pact with Anubis that if Anubis spares his life, that he'll sell him his soul. And then a scorpion came out from underneath the sand, and the Scorpion King grabbed it and just ate it. And yeah, and Ardith, of course, began this movie narrating again, like in the first movie, and then yeah, he said that Anubis accepted the Scorpion King's offer and spared his life. And then an entire oasis forms at Amshir to like hide the Scorpion King's pyramid. And then yeah, Ardith explains that Anubis gave Scorpion King command of his army, and then it showed an Anubis warrior like slicing off a guy's head completely. And then it showed like just the army of Anubis is just like ambushing Thebes. And then Ardith said that once the task was done, Anubis forced Scorpion King to serve him for all time, and then Anubis then claimed Scorpion King's soul, and then we saw the bracelet on his wrist just undo itself and fall. And then yeah, it said that the army of Anubis has just returned to the underworld, and it showed like one just dissolving into black sand, and Ardith just said that they are waiting silently to be awakened once again. And then cut to Egypt in 1933, and it shows like Rick exploring a mortuary. And then yeah, in this movie, Rick and Evie are now married, and they have a son, Alex, who is played by Freddie Butler. Yeah. Yeah. Alex tried to tell Rick that he saw something that looked exactly like the tattoo Rick had on his wrist. Yes, and yeah, Rick told Alex that he'll come take a look at it soon, but he wanted Alex to wait for him and Evie up in the temple in the mortuary. And then Rick and Evie were like searching around the mortuary, and yeah, and it's implied in the movie that Evie had a dream recently, and that the place they're at was just all she could think about, and she seemed to know exactly where she was going in the mortuary. Yeah. And then it showed like three thugs, Ed, Jax, and Spidey arriving, and apparently they were hired by the villains of the movie, which I won't reveal who they are yet. Yeah, to like find an ancient artifact. Let's just say for now. Yeah, and they enter inside the temple where Alex is, and he tries to hide from them. And Red just told Jax and Spidey to just search to see if it was there, and that he would take care of Rick and Evie. And as Rick and Evie were searching some more, Evie then all of a sudden had a vision, like she was there, like in the ancient times, and it showed like where she was at. That turned out to be a door to another room, and that it was locked by a key that was in the door. Yeah. And then once Rick arrived, then and he just like went back to like how the current time. Yeah. And yeah, and since like it happened when Evie like just swooshed her burning stick around, she tried doing it again, and then yeah, she was telling Rick that she about the vision she was just having, and yeah, then she like used that key in the door to unlock it, and then yeah, Rick just told Evie that she's starting to scare him. Yeah, as Jax and Spivey were trying to search for the artifact, Alex was like shooting Spivey a couple of times with something with his slingshot, and then at one point like Jax overheard Alex laughing. Yeah, and then yeah, Rick and Evie then saw a chest in there, and yeah, Evie was trying to open it, and then yeah, Rick found a key that matched with the lock on the chest, and yeah, Evie used that to open the chest, and she yeah, and then it opened, and then she saw it was the bracelet of Anubis that the Scorpion King actually wore. And I should also say, like, during this time, Evie also saw, like, the emblem of the Scorpion King, and then she explained that the Scorpion King's only supposed to be pure myth, and nothing has been found to actually prove that he existed and stuff. So, yeah, there's that. And yeah, then Spivey and Jax then caught Alex, and then Jax told Spivey that he would take care of it. And as, like, Red was loading up his gun to shoot at Rick and Evie, like, the place just started to, like, rubble. Well, and then, yeah, there was a message engraved on the bracelet saying that whoever disturbs the bracelet shall drink from the Nile. And as Red was, like, running off, trying to escape, then water then just started to bust through the walls, and yeah, it caused a type of tsunami-style flood, and yeah, Rick and Evie were trying to get away from it. And as Jax was like climbing up the thing that Alex was in to try to get to him, Red just told the both of them to come on, and then yeah, Jax just kicked the thing over to make the thing fall. Oh, and then yeah, and yeah, it eventually would fall over, and Alex like grabbed onto like a pillar, and then that tipped over, and yeah, the pillars just one by one started to tip over, similar to the bookshelves in the first movie that Evie knocked over. Yeah. And then yeah, Rick and Evie then got caught in the flood, and as it was starting to fill up, another pillar like busted the wall down, and then Rick and Evie then fell down right back into the temple where Alex was. And Alex just told Rick and Evie that he could explain everything. Then it cut to Hamunaptra, where it showed some diggers trying to dig up Imhotep. And then yeah, it showed like three of the antagonists of the movie. Mr. Hafez, who was played by Alan Armstrong, like the main warrior of the cult in this movie, Lochna, whose actor's name I don't even know how to pronounce at all. Yeah, I mean, yeah, his name will be like on an annotation in the video right here. Yeah, this will be his name right here. Yeah, so yeah, because I just don't know how to pronounce the name at all. And also Anck-su-namun's reincarnation, Mila, who was played by Patricia Velasquez. Yeah, and diggers were trying to dig up Imhotep, and then Red, Jax, and Spivey then arrived. Mr. Hafez asked them if they acquired it, and then there was another rubble in Hamunaptra, and then yeah, there was a big sand dune like forming, and then yeah, obviously it was the scarabs, just like in the first movie, and yeah, the scarabs like crawled all over the diggers and had destroyed them. And it showed like one digger where there were scarabs inside of him just moving up his body, and as the digger was screaming, it showed like scarabs just coming right out of his mouth. Yeah. And then yeah, then they saw that they had finally found Imhotep. And Imhotep was like in some kind of, I don't know, he was like some kind of thing. I really don't know what it is, kind of like just some big blob of something, yeah. Yeah, and then yeah. And Mr. Hafez confronted Red, Jax, and Spivey about the bracelet, because that's what they were looking for. And Red told them that the opportunity passed them by, but they know where it is. But Mr. Hafez told them that they'll take care of finding the bracelet, and he had a different chore for them. And Red told Mila and Mr. Hafez that the bracelet was on its way to London, where Rick, Evie, and Alex lived. And so Mr. Hafez just said that they had to go to London. And then it showed like Ardeth was disguised as one of their workers, so he knew where they were going. Yeah. Then Rick and Evie then arrived at home in London, and then yeah, Evie was trying to convince Rick to go to the Oasis at Amshare. Here, and yeah, Rick didn't and yeah, then yeah, Evie was trying to tell him just how nice it was, and then Rick knew that it sounded too good, and he knew there was a catch to it, and Evie told him that it was the last living place of the army of Anubis or something, and then that they could find it and stuff, yeah. And then it showed like Lochna and the Colt arriving at their home, and then yeah, Alex set the chest down that contained the bracelet of Anubis, and then as he was just leaving, he heard a click, which meant that the bracelet opened, and then yeah, Alex opened up the chest and he saw the bracelet. Then he put it on, and then like the bracelet showed him first the pyramids of Giza, and then it just zoomed across the desert or to the temple of Karnak. Actually, yeah, Alex tried to take it off, but of course he couldn't. And yeah, Rick and Evie weren't paying attention to any of that, and they were just talking to each other. Rick was trying to tell Evie that if anything happened to her or Alex, that he'd never be able to forgive himself. Yeah. Yeah. As Rick and Evie kissed, they saw like there were some women's undergarments, let's just say, on their bookshelf, and so they knew that it had to be something involving Jonathan. Yeah. And yeah, Alex just put like some type of trophy into the chest as to just replace the bracelet, I guess. And yeah, then Jonathan arrived at the house with one of his girlfriends, I guess. Yeah, and then the Colt then appeared, and yeah, they mistook Jonathan for Rick. And yeah, they set him down, trying to look. They were telling him that they were looking for the bracelet, and Jonathan just didn't know what was going on. And then yeah, then they saw Jonathan was carrying a golden stick, which they knew what it was, and then yeah, we later find out what it was, and we would later find out that it was actually a spear from Spear of Osiris. Yeah, which I'll get back to that later. Yeah, and then Mila came in. Yeah. So, one of the members of the cult like had a knife held up at Jonathan's throat, and then yeah, Mila then pulled out an Egyptian asp snake and tried to, and then Jonathan like told them where like the bracelet was, but they were gonna kill him anyway. And then as Mila was slowly putting the snake to Jonathan's throat, Rick then arrived, and yeah, and yeah, he was just telling like Mr. Hafez and Mila that Jonathan probably deserves what they're about to do to him, knowing him. And he said that it was his house and he has certain rules about snakes and dismemberment. And Mila threw the snake at Rick, and Rick threw it back at a member of the cult. And yeah, then a knife was thrown at Rick, but Rick caught it in midair and threw it right back at another member of the cult, stabbing them. And then yeah, Lochna confronted Evie and Alex. He said he was looking for the chest. And yeah, Alex grabbed the chest to try to prevent Lochna from taking it. Yeah, Evie grabbed a sword as an equalizer, telling Lochna to get out of the house, and then other members of the cult then showed up, and then Ardeth then arrived. Just to try to even up the odds, let's say, yeah. Yeah, and then yeah, the cult went after Rick and, oh, not Rick, Evie and Ardeth, yeah, and they were able to fight them off. And then yeah, Rick and Jonathan tried to hide from the cult in the bathroom. Yeah, Jonathan was actually hiding in a full bathtub, which was kind of a clever idea. Yeah. And then Lochna then eventually he was decided to fight Ardeth himself, and then yeah, Lochna got the upper hand on Ardeth, and yeah, he like stabbed him a bit in the shoulder and knocked him down. And yeah, as Evie was trying to get away with the chest, another member of the cult like knocked her out and took the chest and Evie with them. And yeah, and then yeah, the cult then just left. And then, yeah, Rick and Jonathan then escaped throughout the window, and then they saw Evie being taken away by the cult. Then Rick saw Ardith was there, and then he asked him why the cult was taking Evie, and Ardith really didn't know, but he showed him a picture of Mr. Hafez, and yeah, then Alex recognized Mr. Hafez. He said that he was the curator from the British Museum. And yeah, Ardith was telling them that the Imhotep once again has been risen from the grave, and yeah, he was telling them that that woman that was with them knew where he was, and then yeah, she led them to the bracelet, and then now they have it, he thought. But then Alex showed them that he was wearing the bracelet, and he told them what he saw, and then Ardith told him that by putting that bracelet on, that he started a chain reaction that could bring upon the next apocalypse. And then Ardith was telling Rick that now that Alex was wearing the bracelet, that they had only 7 days before the Scorpion King awakens, and that if the Scorpion King isn't killed, he will raise the army of Anubis, and that whoever could kill the Scorpion King would be able to either send the army back to the underworld or use it to destroy mankind and rule the earth. And then yeah, Rick then figured out that their plan for digging up Imhotep was that he was the only one that was tough enough to take out the Scorpion King, and he was going to be the one to use to kill him and rule the earth. And when they arrived at the British Museum to save Evie, Rick and Ardith went in with guns, and Rick had Alex stay behind to protect the car and had Jonathan watch him. And as Rick and Ardith were setting up, Ardith noticed the tattoo on Rick's wrist, and then he told him that the mark means that he's a warrior for God and a Magi, but Rick didn't believe any of that. Yeah. Then inside the museum they had Evie's ankles and wrists tied together, and she was on like a wooden bed or something, yeah. And yeah, they were performing the ritual to bring Imhotep back, and then yeah, they succeeded in bringing him back, and yeah, Imhotep awoken. And then yeah, Mr. Hafez told Imhotep that it was the year of the Scorpion. And then Mila appeared, and Evie had another vision. And yeah, she noticed that she was basically an ox and a moon, yeah, because it like faded into like another vision of her walking. It was basically stock footage from the first movie, basically. Yeah. Yeah. And then Mila went up to Imhotep and she told him that she was an ox and a moon reincarnated. And Imhotep told her that soon he'd be able to bring her soul back from the underworld and that their love would be whole. Then Lochna and Mr. Hafez opened the chest, and then they saw it was just the trophy. Yeah, Mr. Hafez asked where the bracelet was, and then Lochna knew where it was. Yeah. And then, yeah, outside with Alex and Jonathan, Alex was telling Jonathan about the diamond at the top of the pyramid at Amsher, that there was a diamond at top that was on the top that was so big that it reflected the sunlight and stuff, yeah. And yeah, Mila then told Imhotep that he had a gift for she had a gift for him, and it was Evie, and she knew that it would please Imhotep to see her die. And then yeah, they tried to throw Evie into some fire, but as they were moving her to the fire, Rick then came jumping over the fire and saved Evie, and then Ardith was at the top of the stairway firing with the Thompson. And then yeah, Rick continued to like shoot at them, and then Imhotep saw Rick, and then yeah, Rick and Evie then were shot at some flammable liquids that set some of the cult members on fire. Outside, Jonathan and Alex tried to like get away in the car, but Jonathan ended up breaking the car keys in the ignition. Yeah, and yeah, as Rick, Evie, and Ardith were trying to leave the museum, Imhotep then summoned 4 soldier mummies to go after them. Yeah, and yeah, as Rick, Ardith, and Evie ran out of the museum, Jonathan then, as a backup mode of transportation, got a double-decker bus. Yeah, And yeah, the soldier mummies then ran after them, stomped right on Rick's car. Yeah. Yeah, and the soldier mummies gave chase to Rick and the others in the bus, yeah. Yeah, Rick went up to the upper deck of the bus to try to shoot down the mummies, and yeah, the mummies then split up, 2 on one side and 2 on the other. And yeah, Rick was able to shoot and destroy one mummy, and then another one then, like, jumped down to the lower deck where Ardith, Alex, and Evie were, and then yeah, Ardith, like, tried shooting it down, and then we saw the legs fall on the ground, yeah. So it appeared that that mummy ended up being dead, and then yeah, Rick was, like, shooting at the ceiling of the bus, because yeah, there were mummies on top of the ceiling, yeah. And then on the lower deck it showed that the mummy, soldier mummy's upper body was still there, and then yeah, it was attacking Ardith more, and then yeah, another mummy then tore through this holes in the top of the ceiling, and then yeah, that one was fighting with Rick. Yeah, and then yeah, Jonathan was making like some wild turns to try to throw off the mummy's attacks, yeah. And at one point, as the mummy was fighting with Ardith, that mummy like had his fingernails like extend really long and scratched Ardith with them, yeah. Yeah. Then yeah, Rick then lost his gun and it fell right down back to the lower deck, and then yeah, once it looked like the soldier mummy was gonna kill Ardith, then Evie used the gun to shoot and destroy that mummy. And yeah, then as they were coming to like a low bridge, Rick then like just ducked down, and then yeah, then the bus went through that low bridge, but yeah, the entire upper deck just was destroyed, and yeah, the mummy that Rick was fighting with ended up like just being smashed onto that wall of the bridge, and then yeah, yeah, that ended the soldier mummy attacks. But that was only 3 of the soldier mummies that they defeated. Yeah, and what I remember hearing on the DVD commentary before that, the 4th mummy that was just really simple, and they just threw that mummy into the water, and yeah, that was just how the 4th one was destroyed. So yeah, there was that. And as Rick and Evie were like kissing with each other, or Alex ended up being kidnapped by Lochna, and yeah, the Colt then drove off, and yeah, there was like a road bridge that they caused to like raise up, and yeah, Rick tried running after them, but yeah, the bridge just lifted too high for Rick to continue the chase, and yeah, they got away with Alex. And as Rick and Evie were mourning with each other, or of Alex being kidnapped, Ardith told them not to fear for Alex because they couldn't hurt him since he was wearing the bracelet of Anubis. And yeah, Rick told Evie what Alex saw when he put it on, and Ardith said that once they reach Karnak, now the bracelet will show them the next step of the journey with the bracelet. And Evie knew that if they couldn't get to Karnak before them, that they wouldn't know where to look for Alex next. And then Rick just said they need a magic carpet. But yeah, and then cut to Cairo, Egypt, where the Colt was riding a train to Karnak. Yeah, and then Mr. Hafez was saying that Imhotep is still vulnerable until they can raise the army of Anubis. It's only until then that Imhotep would be invincible. Then he told Lochna that Imhotep wishes to meet Alex, and then yeah. And then Lochna took Alex to Imhotep. Yeah. And as that was going on, Red, Jackson, and Spivey then returned with the chore that Mr. Hafez had for them, and it was to acquire the chest that the Book of the Dead was found in from the first movie. But they wanted double than what the agreement was for to give it to them. And so yeah, then Mila decided to quote unquote give it to them. And then she just told them to follow her. And then yeah. Alex was then confronted by Imhotep, and yeah, Imhotep was just telling Alex that he does have strength, and that he must take Imhotep to Amsher, and that the bracelet was a gift, and that the sands of time had begun to pour against him. And yeah, Imhotep also told Alex that not only does he have 7 days before the Scorpion King wakes up, but if he doesn't enter the pyramid by the time the sun strikes it that morning, that the bracelet will suck the life right out of him. Yeah. Then Alex just told Imhotep that his dad was going to kick his ass. But then, yeah, Imhotep was like wearing that cloak and mask that he was wearing when he killed Burns in the first movie, and Imhotep removed his mask, showing Alex's face. And then Mila led them to the room where Imhotep was in, and then, yeah, she locked them in. And, yeah, it was just a trap by Mila and Imhotep. Yeah, Imhotep appeared, and then, yeah, they tried shooting him down, but of course, it had no effect on Imhotep. And Mila told Spivey that Imhotep wants him to open the chest. And so Spivey ended up opening the chest, and turned out that was just a trap for Imhotep to suck them dry and regenerate. Yeah, once the chest was open, Imhotep looked like he just disappeared, but then he appeared from behind Spivey, and then it showed Imhotep just sucking Spivey dry of all his body fluids and stuff, and yeah, just sucking the life out of him. Yeah, and then as Red and Jax were continuing to shoot at him, and then just cut to the outside of the train, yeah. Then it showed Rick, Evie, and Jonathan arriving at the Magic Carpet Airway station place, yeah, where actually an associate of Rick's from the past, Izzy, was yeah. And at first Izzy didn't want to help because of what happened before with Rick, because he got shot the last time. And then Rick told Izzy that he was gonna get paid this time, and then yeah. And then Rick was telling Izzy that Alex was kidnapped and he's gonna do whatever it takes to get Alex back. And yeah, Rick was waving around Jonathan's gold stick as he was saying all that, and then Izzy told Rick that if he gave him the gold stick, that he could shave his head, wax his legs, and use them for a surfboard. And so yeah, then Rick tossed the golden stick to Izzy, and then yeah, Izzy just claimed that the stick was his, and that whenever Jonathan was trying to take it, that Izzy just wouldn't let Jonathan take it and just took it back from him. Yeah. And then yeah, Ardeth then showed up with the commanders of the Magi and his like bird friend Horus, and he told them that he would have Horus just let the commanders know wherever they are, in case the army of Anubis should arise. And then yeah, Izzy showed them his mode of transportation, which was a dirigible, which was basically a big balloon, which was a good way of sneaking up on people since it's quiet. And so yeah, they flew off in the dirigible. Sorry. Yeah, and then yeah, the next day, back on the train with Imhotep and Nicole and everything, Alex was like trying to blatantly, antagonize Locknaw, just try to pester him. Alex kept asking, "Are we there yet?" And then yeah, at one point Locknaw like pulled out his knife, and yeah, the knife just hit like in the gap right between Alex's fingers. Yeah, and then Alex just told Locknaw he had to go to the bathroom. And then it cut back to the room where Imhotep like sucked Red, Jackson, Spivey dry, and it showed like their rotting corpses, and it showed Mila going into the room and she saw Imhotep fully regenerated. But here's what I don't understand. I mean, you're telling me that Mila actually waited until the next day to actually go back into that room to see what he did to them? I mean, that really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I mean, she really waited till the next day. Yeah, and then yeah, Locknaw took Alex to the bathroom, and then yeah, Alex just told Locknaw that he couldn't go while someone's watching, and then yeah, Locknaw left the bathroom, and it was just like a plan by Alex to try to escape, but he couldn't get through the walls, and then he saw that the drain for the toilet was just another hole in the train, and yeah, he tried escaping through there. And yeah, other members of the cult tried shooting at Alex, but Imhotep just stopped them, and he threw two members of the cult right into the statues, and that was just as they were arriving at Karnak. Yeah, and then yeah, the bracelet then showed Alex the next step of his journey, and it went from Karnak to the island of Falai. Yeah. And then later on, like, Imhotep was showing Mila, like, visions that were memories from her life as an ox on a moon, and it was showing a duel she had with Evie, who was also in her previous life, and she was actually the Pharaoh's daughter, Nefertiri. And yeah, Evie was having the exact same vision that Imhotep was showing Mila. Yeah, in that duel, Anaxamun was just continuing to overpower Nefertiri. Like, it started with just a dagger duel, and then, yeah, Anaxamun knocked the daggers from Nefertiri's hands. And then, yeah. And then, it's like Nefertiri had some type of hatchet, and Anaxamun had a spear. And then Anaxamun was able to knock the hatchet out of Nefertiri's hands. And then she hoisted Nefertiri over her shoulder, and she had the spear pointed right at her robe, and she told Nefertiri that she's learning quickly and she'll have to watch her back. And yeah, and of course, yeah, the Pharaoh, Nefertiri, and, well, not, the Pharaoh and Imhotep were watching, yeah. And then, yeah, the Pharaoh then, like, appointed Evie as protector, Nefertiri, sorry, as protector of Bracelet of Anubis, and Anaxamun as protector of him. And then it cut to, like, another vision, where it was kind of like showing Nefertiri's point of view of the stuff at the beginning of the first movie, because, yeah, Nefertiri was actually saw what happened at the beginning of the first movie with Imhotep kissing Anaxamun. And yeah, like, Evie's mind was in the vision, and yeah, whatever Nefertiri did, Evie did the exact same thing. And same thing with Mila, her mind was in the vision too, and she did everything Anaxamun did. Yeah, and then it showed, like, Imhotep and Anaxamun heard the Pharaoh coming, and yeah, it showed Imhotep, like, hiding. Yeah, and then it turned out that Nefertiri was actually the one that sent the bodyguards to go after Imhotep to protect the Pharaoh. And then once the Pharaoh was stabbed, like, Nefertiri then just, like, jumped over the balcony or stuff. Yeah, and as that was going on, Evie also, like, jumped overboard from the balloon, but Rick, Jonathan, and Ardeth, like, pulled Evie and stopped her from falling out. Yeah, we had the same dialogue from the first movie, well, sort of, as Anaxamun was telling Imhotep to leave, and yeah, Mila was saying, like, the exact same things, and yeah, she was actually, like, basically had the same feeling that Anaxamun was having. But yeah, they changed the dialogue a little bit, like, when the priests were taking Imhotep away, instead of, like, Imhotep telling Anaxamun that she'll live again, Imhotep just said, Anaxamun, and Anaxamun replied with Imhotep. And then, yeah, it just showed, like, Anaxamun killing herself, and yeah, Mila was moving along with it, and yeah, she appeared to kill herself. Then Imhotep then resurrected Anaxamun's soul into Mila's body, and so yeah, then Anaxamun being resurrected, and yeah, for the rest of the movie, we just have Anaxamun. Yeah. And yeah, Evie was telling Rick that all these dreams and visions are memories from her previous life, and she was the bracelet's protector. Yeah. And then, yeah, the next day, Rick and the others arrived at Karnak, but they saw they were too late and that they were all gone and they lost them. And as Evie was searching the temple, she saw that Alex left his tie for them and made them a sandcastle of the island of Philae. And yeah, they knew that they were at Philae, and so yeah, they rushed. They then went to Philae, and then yeah, Alex then left another clue, leaving his jacket, and it showed that the temple of Abu Simbel, and that was where they were. And then it showed Ardeth sending Horus to the commanders to let them know where they were. And then it showed, like, Imhotep, Alex, and Anaxamun, yeah, basically the entire cult riding along on their camels, and Lochanan noticed Horus flying in the sky. And yeah, it showed then Horus arriving at the commanders, and yeah, told the commanders getting the message of where they were. And yeah, the commanders just rode onward with the rest of the Magi. And then it showed that Imhotep and yeah, everybody were at the Nile. Yeah. And then yeah, Lochanan caught Alex leaving like clues for his family to find him. Yeah. And then yeah, as he picked Alex up, like confronting him about it, Imhotep told Lochanan to just put Alex down. And then yeah, Imhotep then sent a wall of water after Rick and the others in the dirigible. Yeah, similar to like what he did with the wall of sin in the first movie. Yeah, and then yeah, Then Rick, Evie, Jonathan, Ardeth, and Izzy all saw the wall of water, and it even had the face emerging from it like the sand wall in the first movie. Yeah, yeah. Izzy tried to outrun it, and then yeah, the water hit Izzy a little bit, and yeah, Izzy got soaked. And then yeah, they saw that were approaching Cher. And yeah, as Rick was looking through a telescope at Cher, it showed like a shine from the diamond at the top of the pyramid. Yeah. And then they saw that the wall was still following them. And yeah, as Izzy tried to outrun it again, the dirigible ran out of gas, and yeah, all the engines winded down. And then yeah, the water then brought the dirigible down. And then yeah, Rick, Evie, Jonathan, and Ardeth then just all went on foot to find Alex. And yeah, and then Izzy said that he needed gas to make the dirigible work, and he said that he might be able to make it take hot air, but it would take a lot of hot air to make it work. Yeah. Then at that point, Jonathan took back his gold stick, and yeah, Ardeth sent Horace off again. But then yeah, as Horace was flying off, Locknaw had a gun pointed at Horace, and Locknaw shot Horace, killing Horace. Yeah. Yeah, Ardeth said that he had to go to tell the army of Anubis tell the commanders where they were in case the army of Anubis arose. But yeah, Rick told Ardeth that they need him to help find Alex, and so yeah, Ardeth agreed to help them before he went to go tell the commanders. And then cut to night in the jungle of Amshir. Yeah, Rick, Evie, Ardeth, and Jonathan were all standing at higher ground, setting up to go look for Alex. Yeah, yeah, it was funny, there was a thing where Jonathan saw some shrunken heads, and he was saying that he'd love to know how they do that. Yeah, then Rick and Ardeth took off into the jungle to find Alex, as Evie and Jonathan stayed on the higher ground to try to shoot off some other members of the cult. Yeah. And then yeah, Locknaw then asked if he could finally kill Alex, and then Imhotep told him that the bracelet of Anubis is going to be the thing that will be the key to unlock the army of Anubis. And then Mr. Hafez told Locknaw to just retrieve the bracelet. And then yeah, it showed one member of the cult looking like see like some small mummy body out of a tree, and then it showed like a couple cult members being attacked by something underneath the grass, some bushes. Yeah, yeah. And then yeah, once the cult member got real close to the tree, then it turned out it was a pygmy mummy, and then yeah, the mummy just shrieked right in front of the cult member's face, and then stabbed him. And then yeah, there was just a big army of pygmy mummies that attacked the cult and killed them one by one, like some with knives, some with blowguns. Yeah, just they had a bunch of weapons. And yeah, and then yeah, Rick and Ardeth followed like all the screaming and the gunshots. That's to find the cult, and then yeah, they fought them off, and then yeah, Locknaw was chasing Alex down, and then, yeah, he had Alex cornered, and right when he was about to kill Alex, Rick came and retrieved Alex. And yeah, Ardeth fought with Locknaw, and then eventually ended up killing him. Yeah. And then, yeah, I liked how they had another member of the cult who had a gun pointed at Ardeth, and then we heard a gunshot, making us think maybe that he did shoot Ardeth, but it turned out it was actually Jonathan that shot that cult member and killed him. Then Mr. Hafez told two more cult members that they must sacrifice himself for him and that they'd be rewarded in heaven. And Mr. Hafez ran off, and those two cult members were attacked by the pygmy mummies and killed by them. And then Rick and Alex met up with Jonathan and Evie. And Alex told them that they had to go to the pyramid so he could get the bracelet off, because of Imhotep told them that the bracelet would kill him if he didn't get inside the pyramid before the sun hit it, because that was the day. And then they were chased by the pygmy mummies, and as they were crossing like a log tree or something, Rick tossed the pygmy mummies to stick a dynamite, and that exploded, and it caused the log to break. It can fall over, and with all the pygmy mummies with it. And then the sun started to rise, Right, and then yeah, Rick and Alex raced to the pyramid to get there before the sun could hit it. And yeah, they just barely made it. And yeah, the sun was actually starting to touch Rick's legs as they actually entered the pyramid. Yeah, when they got in, the bracelet detached from Alex's wrist, and Alex just threw it off. And then, as Evie and Jonathan saw that Rick and Alex made it, Anck-su-namun appeared and stabbed Evie, killing her. And yeah, Imhotep just threw Jonathan and off. And then yeah, Evie then died, and yeah, Rick was mourning over Evie's body as Jonathan was like hugging Alex to comfort him. Then Mr. Hafez found the bracelet. Then he went to release the army of Anubis. And then as Imhotep and Anck-su-namun were walking through the pyramid, as they were going through a walkway, then Imhotep then had his invincibility and powers taken away by Anubis. As Imhotep said that Anubis wishes him to fight as a mortal. And then Rick went inside the pyramid to go after Imhotep. And yeah, then Mr. Hafez saw that there was some kind of scorpion model with a hole in it, and he put his hand in there with the bracelet, and then yeah, all the torches and stuff went on inside the pyramid. And then yeah, there was a shadow that went over the pyramid as well. And then yeah, it went all around the desert, and it formed like a big black sand dune, sign of the army of Anubis. This is just right where the Magi were. And yeah, Jonathan was trying to tell Alex Evie's death just means that she's gone to a better place, like it says in the quote-unquote good book. And then at that point, Alex had the idea for the book, and then yeah, they went inside the pyramid, and then and then Mr. Hafez told Rick that he released the army of Anubis, and Imhotep would soon kill the Scorpion King and take command. And then Rick grabbed some kind of weapon, and then yeah, we could hear like some kind of eating going on inside of the hole Mr. Hafez had his arm. And yeah, he pulled it out, and it was like all the flesh was eaten away from his hand. And then Imhotep said that he must face the Scorpion King alone. Anck-su-namun tried to tell Imhotep not to, because the Scorpion King would kill Imhotep without his powers. But Imhotep still tried to tell Anck-su-namun that nothing could stop them. Anck-su-namun just told Imhotep that she didn't want to lose him again. Yeah, and then yeah, Imhotep then kissed Anck-su-namun before going to try to awaken the Scorpion King. And then out in the desert, or like the sand dune, big black sand dune flattened out. And then yeah, it showed the army of Anubis arising from the dune, led by Anubis himself. And then yeah, and then Jonathan tried to pick a fight with Anck-su-namun, try to avenge Evie's death. As that was going on, Rick went after Imhotep was like banging a gong in an attempt to awaken the Scorpion King. And it showed like there was a pit and like the gap in the ground, showing like the underworld. Yeah, and yeah, Imhotep and Rick were fighting. And yeah, Imhotep said that if Rick wishes to kill him, that he'd also kill the Scorpion King and send his army back to the underworld, and he couldn't allow it. And so yeah, Rick and Imhotep were fighting, and then Jonathan and Anck-su-namun were fighting. And yeah, the Magi were fighting with the army of Anubis. Yeah, so we had 3 fights going on at the same time. Then eventually Anck-su-namun grabbed like the 2 daggers that she had in the fight with Evie Nefertiri rather, that long ago. And Jonathan pulled out his gold stick as an equalizer. And yeah, Alex was reading from the Book of the Dead in an attempt to bring Evie back to life. And then yeah, once Alex came to like the final symbol, he didn't know what it was, and he said it was a bird of stork, and Jonathan knew what it was, obviously, and it was a Miniphus. And yeah, Alex finished reciting from the book, and then yeah, there was like some noise going on, but we didn't actually see what was happening with Evie at that time, yeah. And yeah, Rick and Imhotep then had weapons they were using against each other, yeah. And then Inoxamun stabbed Jonathan in the chest, and then it looked like when she was about to kill him, Evie grabbed Inoxamun's arm and just told her to pick on someone her own size. And then Evie sent Jonathan and Alex off to help Rick, and she had the two daggers, and she fought Inoxamun. And then Rick and Imhotep had collisions with each other with their weapons, and then doors open, and then we saw the reveal of the Scorpion King, which was basically a big giant scorpion with the Rot's face. And everybody has complained about how terrible the CGI is. This was on Watch Mojo's top 10 worst CGI list. Everybody's complained about it, so I really don't need to say anything about it, but it's bad. Yeah. And Scorpion King was gonna go after Imhotep, but Imhotep tried to tell Scorpion King that he was a servant, and Rick was actually sent to kill him. And then the Scorpion King went after Rick, and then then Inoxamun and Evie fought off, and then Evie gained the upper hand on Inoxamun and actually cut her in the cheek, it looked like. And then Inoxamun just tried running off. And then Mr. Hafez then saw the Scorpion King chasing Rick, and he tried to run off, but the Scorpion King grabbed Mr. Hafez. Mr. Hafez tried to call to Imhotep for help, but Imhotep just asked why he should help. And then the Scorpion King just killed Mr. Hafez by just literally ripping him apart. And then it appeared that the Magi had actually beaten the army of Anubis. But it turned out that what they were facing was only the vanguard of the army. They could hear some running in the distance. Ardeth at least could hear running in the distance, and so he ran in the direction it was coming from. And the rest of the Magi followed, and then they saw the full army of Anubis charging at them. And the whole army was huge. It was just enormous. They just continued to charge, and you could just see even more coming from the back. It was non-stop. I mean, it was just enormous. And as Rick was trying to hide the Scorpion King, he saw there were some engravings and some rocks, and he saw that the person engraved had the same tattoo as he did, and he saw Jonathan's golden stick, and then he saw that it was actually a spear. And that's when Jonathan and Alex arrived, and then Rick tried telling Jonathan that his gold stick was actually a spear, and that it opened into one. And the Scorpion King then went after Rick some more. And then Inoxamun and Evie then arrived. And then Imhotep then saw Jonathan actually had the spear. And Inoxamun had Evie pinned against the wall to keep her from getting involved in anything. Then Jonathan then opened up the spear. And then Evie told Jonathan to throw it to kill the Scorpion King and send the army back to the underworld. And as Jonathan threw it, Imhotep then caught it in midair. And then right before Imhotep threw it, he said that the army of Anubis shall now be his. Then Imhotep threw the spear, but before it could actually kill the Scorpion King, Rick grabbed it and stopped it from killing the Scorpion King. The Scorpion King was still going after Rick, and Rick looked like he was going to fall into the underworld pit, but as he did, he stabbed the Scorpion King with the spear. And right before Rick actually killed him, he told the Scorpion King to go to hell and take his friends with him. And then he then killed the Scorpion King, and the Scorpion King just dissolved into black sand. And right as the army of Anubis actually approached the Magi, that's when they all faded to black sand and were sent back to the underworld. And as the Magi were celebrating, then black sand emerged from Amsher, and saw a face emerging from it, and then it was just sucked back into the pyramid, and then the pyramid was starting to be sucked up and falling apart, and Rick and Imhotep were hanging from the tip of the underworld. And then Evie helped Rick out of it, and as Imhotep was trying to call to Inoxamun for help, Inoxamun refused and just fled. And then Imhotep just let go and fell down to the pit. And and as Inoxamun tried to run out the pit, tried to run out. The way out was blocked up, and then Noxa Moon fell into a pit with like scarabs, scorpions, and that kind of stuff. And as Rick, Evie, Alex, and Jonathan all were getting out of the pyramid, we saw that the whole oasis was being sucked up, and then yeah, once they got to the outside, they saw it was being sucked up, and they tried to move up the pyramid, and then once they arrived at the top, they knew that they were trapped. There was nowhere else for them to escape, to run to. And then it showed Easy appearing in the dirigible, and then he came to save them. You know, and yeah, Jonathan was like stuck in the rope ladder or something. And yeah, before he was pulled up, he asked to be let down so he could take the diamond at the top of the pyramid. And yeah, he was able to get the diamond. And yeah, they were able to get out of there before the place was sucked up. Yeah, and yeah, they celebrated with each other. Evie thanked Izzy for saving them. Yeah. And yeah, Ardith just said goodbye saying something in Arabic, yeah. And yeah, then yeah, then Rick told Evie that he thought he almost lost her there, and she told him that he did for a moment. She asked if he'd like to know what heaven looks like, and Rick just said later, and then they kissed. And yeah, the movie just ended. But yeah, it ended with Jonathan and Alex both saying, "Oh please," and then yeah, Izzy and Jonathan bickering about Izzy saying the diamond was half his because Jonathan took his gold stick, but Jonathan was just saying he had no idea what he was talking about, and yeah, it was just continuing on with the bicker, and yeah, that's how the movie ended. And then yeah, the credits had a great score to them as well, yeah. It'll be the very last thing in the playlist down there. So yeah. So yeah, like I said, 3.5 stars out of 4. Yeah, I really do like the movie. I like it more than the first one, definitely. Alright, so that's a review of The Mummy Returns. Hope you guys stuck around for basically the hour that this lasted, but just like with the first one, I had a lot to talk about for this. So yeah, I hope you guys stuck around for the whole thing. So yeah, like I said, check out the playlist down there for the score for this movie. Yeah, it's really great. Yeah, so that does for my review of The Mummy Returns. Hope you guys enjoyed. So yeah, and stay tuned for tomorrow for Halloween, where I'll be concluding my reviews for the month with my review of The Scorpion King. So stay tuned for that. Alright, so yeah, anyway, so thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.